Still and silent, calm before the storm, gold and diamond, jewels behind the throne, into the night, out of the dark, take to the sky, chasing the stars, all that we said, all that we are, waiting to fly, this is the start. Hide and seek, reason and rhyme, grand and glorious. Living the dream, yours and mine, euphoria.
Welcome to True Sacred Union's weekly roundtable for sacred counterparts, twin flames, original pairs, and all divine connections. My name is Debbie Dubois, and today is Monday, December 11th here in the United States. I created this roundtable as a sacred space to talk about issues that are affecting all of us on this ascension journey, particularly with regards to sacred counterparts. But the truth is, a lot of people who are here on this journey have done a lot of their heavy lifting already. So, in order to get to this point of awakening, a lot of work was done. So what I found out really is more or less the space that we've created is to support us in this experience of awakening. We have something in common because we've had similar experiences, or our experiences help each other understand maybe our own situations. But really, when it comes right down to it, we are here supporting each other as we face what can only be described as this unknown future. We also come together to try to put together pieces of this puzzle so that we can find out what is going to happen, or at least what we think is going to happen, or what we hope is going to happen. And it really does come in handy when trying to navigate what actually happens. We share our experiences, and when we're having a particularly hard time, we reach out. Several groups are kind of overlapping, and we're like, is this happening to you? Is this happening to you? And a lot of times this really has nothing to do with the counterpart journey, but it has everything to do with awakening. This past week, I had several reports of something. One of my friends came to me and said, oh my God, a wave just hit me. I feel it coming. Are you feeling it? And I'm like, no, man, I'm not feeling anything. And I'm like, okay. But it sort of got me alerted, was checking other threads, and people were feeling stuff. I did not have anything hit me until later in the week. And after it hit me, it's hit others. So I know that it's something that's coming in for light workers. I saw a video with Carrie Kay, and she was talking about it being a purge as we're leveling up. I can talk about that in a little bit. But the feeling that I felt was the matrix closing in on me. I was feeling I was feeling it personally with things in the matrix start affecting you personally. So what affected me personally was a dismal paycheck, and I wasn't used to that. I was like, oh my God, the matrix is falling, and it's hitting me right where I don't expect it. And what that ended up doing is showing me where I still have attachments to the matrix. But other people are finding it on their counterpart journeys. Some people are finding it on projects, but it's this feeling of impending doom. And, almost to a testament to that is this Carrie Kay video. And I just was watching it because she was talking about, the purging and this incredible energy coming in and getting ready for a new wave. But it wasn't until she said something in particular that she said, we should have been able to do this already. We should have been out of here already. And I just started sobbing. I started crying hysterically, like it hit me out of nowhere. And it's that feeling of I've been done with this game for a long time. I don't really have anything in the game. I'm not doing anything in this game. And yet here we still are. And how much longer is it going to be? And I started to realize that that was really where a lot of this was coming from. And, my monthly reading that I just published this weekend, it actually shows it in the cards before this wave ever hit me, because this came right. I did my reading before the wave hit. And the central card was boredom. And I was like, I wasn't coming at that perspective at that moment, but I was like, yeah, that's it, boredom. And it was in a TikTok video that rolled in the next day. And I'm going to play that once we get everyone on. And the reason why I want to play that TikTok video is because the way she approached it like, oh my God, how have I found myself in this other dimension? It was almost like, oh, you just figured it out that you're in a upside down, crazy place. You're joining us. But what was really interesting is that you could also look at it from so many different perspectives, like from the upside down or the right side up. Oh, good, someone's coming in and realizing things are shifting and changing. But there's some things that she said in there that really started my whole roll downhill. And the biggest thing that she was talking about was that she felt like she died 4 years ago. Well, how that plays into everything is that's 2019. And that's when the counterparts got messed with and everything went sideways. But what I started to realize was, wait a minute, not just twin flame stuff went sideways, everything went sideways. And there are a lot of us that began disconnecting from the matrix. And I mean, to varying degrees, even people that are sleeping, if you want to call it sleeping, or not quite fully awake or not quite engaged, they started unplugging from the matrix too. Everybody started saying, I don't want to play this game. This game sucks. I can't win no matter what I do. Then I started to realize, oh my God, I do feel dead. People don't even notice me at the gym. Like, I have 3 or 4 people will say hi to me, but most people look right past me. And I'm like, I was looking at all the ways I've been disconnected from the matrix. But then when things hit like the paycheck, it's like, oh, I'm hooked back into the matrix. And it's this, how do we unhook? We're hooking, we're unhooking. So anyways, I bring all this up because the roundtable guests that I have with me, I would say almost every one of them, we've had some kind of conversation around this subject. And while I decided to cancel my Sunday call, and I am going to be doing roundtables now on a much more as need basis, because that works better for me and actually everyone around. We all got together and said, this is a subject we need to talk about, because this was gut wrenching for me. And then I've seen it on other sides. People are going through it. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to bring everybody on. How many of you are feeling kind of disconnected from the matrix? Anyone want to go first?
I'm in bliss and joy at the moment.
Okay.
I wasn't yesterday.
Oh, all right. Well, you know what? I'm more in bliss and joy today than I was yesterday. So I'm kind of right there with you today. But what I really did notice is that this seems to be a wave. It's hitting some people early, it's hitting some people now, and it's hitting some people maybe even in days to come. So that's really one of the reasons why we're having this.
Are you finding with your twin flame that when you're up, he's down, and when he's up, I'm down? Because I'm sort of finding that wave like a seesaw effect with him, and he's noticing it now.
Okay,
whereas he wasn't quite sure, but now with our connection, it's like we're on this seesaw effect, and then sometimes we meet in the middle. Then I'm up, then he's down. Like, as we knit the timelines, he's really beginning to get it now and start to trust it. Makes sense, because I was the one getting mainly the downloads for both of us.
Okay. And you're finding that that's kind of evening out. What else are you guys experiencing?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm the one that gets all the downloads, and I transfer the information to him. But where he's not as open as I am, I can see where he is in his realm, but I can't pull him up, so I can't share too much information because it's not my information to share. But if the downloads come for both of us, I have to be open, honest, and authentic and share everything from that open space without fear. And he's starting to pick up on it and self-realize stuff for himself now. Perfect. And it's taken him a while. He has been open and honest. He said, it's taken me a while to understand you.
I was going to
Sorry.
say, do you feel that that shifted for you recently, or is that something that's been building over time slowly? And can you give us a approximate time frame, like how long
From
it's taken?
over 3 years. I had no clue about a twin flame. I had no clue about the connection until I started to get downloads and revelation after I'd been with him. And I was getting all these past life experiences. And I thought, I've got to share this because it's
Yeah,
never, ever happened before in my life. So I knew it was something special above the norm, if that makes sense. It's grown, it's just grown in power. And I'm grabbing my power back. I'm becoming more powerful. But at the same time, Debbie, it's bringing up my deepest fears and insecurity around men.
yeah,
So it's quite interesting. As I get my power back, I really have to take personal ownership and responsibility and
absolutely.
lead him to his end, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's really what the journey is about is, as you start to come into that connection, there's so many ways that I want to say you get to a place where you want to merge your energies so much that you want to become one. That's the only way I can describe it. It's like you
Yeah.
have this desire to become one. And so you start to become one, and then you start to go, whoa, wait a minute, there's places here where I need boundaries just to function in the world, if that makes sense. And
Yes.
it's
But it's
okay.
the first time I felt being with God with a man as well at the same time. Does that make sense?
Wow,
It's
that's
like a soul merge, like we were in the cosmos together. Like it's almost like our two bodies dissolved and we were right up there with God, well, with source or creator energy, if that makes sense. I've never had
yes.
a soul merge like that before.
Okay, so if it's been 3 years, has it only been recently that he's started to receive these downloads in a way that he kind of understands them more, or he's more accepting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he did relate to me last time we met up that he does take everything on board. He does listen intently to everything I send him, but obviously it's got to hit him where he needs it to. So
Mhm.
I'm quite detached from him in that way. I'm not clingy, I'm not needy, but I do after a while where I haven't been with him. It's not like I wander around the universe all day thinking about him because I don't. It's almost like I know when it's time for him to come back, and I'll put out a message to the universe and blow me down. He gets in touch.
Now, are you in the similar location, or are you in different countries? Or I mean, it's a lot of times people are in different countries, or they're in different cities across the country or whatever. I mean, are you guys in close contact so you can see each other all the time, or?
Yeah, and we don't see each other all the time. We live about 3 miles from each other, and ironically, Debbie, I've known him for 25 years. He used to be my ex next door neighbour's son, and we lived next door to each other all that time and never knew. So I've had so much revelation in regards to 2012 and all sorts of different merges. So I'm getting the deeper inner understanding, and I think he's sort of catching on or picking up stuff, if that makes sense. Because I don't want to. He's got to get his own revelation around stuff, hasn't he? He's got to get his own. He's got to find his own. I told him the other day. I said it's now time for you to find your own key, if that makes sense. I just share what comes in at the time after he's left. It seems to come in after he's left. So it's almost like he's placed information in my heart for him to come back to.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's how it should ideally work. Now, have you been finding that he's triggering a lot of the sore spots in you for things
Oh,
that
yeah.
you need to heal? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am getting external healing around that as well. And doesn't
Good.
involve him, but I've got another healer that I've just come in contact with, and she's amazing. She's brought up such dark stuff that I didn't even know was there that I had to grieve through. Again, I found it was the mother wound, the really deep ancestral mother wound, which I felt I claimed back part of my soul or heart and soul, and I feel more conjoined within my true self. If that makes sense.
Well, it's
Yeah,
very encouraging to hear,
yeah,
especially since you reconnected within the last 3 years, correct? But you met a long time ago, obviously.
yeah. We did, and there was. I knew I liked him, and but I didn't know he liked me, and because I was married at the time and going through other stuff, it didn't even occur to me that he would even think of me that way, if that made sense. So it was a real shock because he woke me up to the cabal and all the other stuff. I knew nothing. He knew about that for 8 years, and he messaged me out of the blue. I had no clue, and he messaged me out of the blue one day. So, and it started from there.
Well, I gotta say, what I'm picking up on is that you got together after the wave of what I would say complete messing with twins. Which means, yes, it's probably going to still have the same kind of effects in terms of pushing your buttons to get you to look at things that you've been hurt inside and
Yeah.
also help him adjust. But it doesn't sound to me, based on what you said, that there's a ton of interference. It's just going to be like a natural process of at least if you keep this healthy sense of space, this
Yes.
healthy sense of self, going into your own empowerment and not just giving up everything you are, just to come together. And unfortunately, going back many years, that seems to be what was at play, was trying to throw these counterparts together before they were even prepared to be together, like not even close to being prepared to be together. And it's like,
Yes.
let's just come together and then, see how that works out for you. So it's encouraging to hear your story, because I think that that is actually how original pairs should be coming together at about this point. Some of
Right.
us are still working through some of the kinks and to get to that space, but I find your story very encouraging. So thank you.
Thanks, Debbie. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your channel. It's amazing.
Ah, thank you for saying that. Gosh, that means
Yeah,
a
it's
lot,
amazing.
especially after this weekend, right, girls and Hamish girls at Hamish, because they did see me kind of go through it. But what's really great about this, and I don't mean great about it because I wouldn't want anyone to go through what I'm going through. We all understand. We
Yeah, I
understand.
know, and I feel that. I feel I can say anything to you guys and I won't be judged, So I'm really grateful to have this open channel. So thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. Let me see. I guess I want to, Stephanie, you're unmuted.
I only unmuted because I wanted to ask anyone else, like, are you guys sharing stuff with your downloads with your counterparts that they aren't also receiving? Because I am not. Like, I don't think that that's part of my path, but I'm like, maybe that's the thing that I'm missing. Like, is that am I not doing my homework completely? Because I'm just kind of waiting for him to get the information on what's going on too.
For me, I have to share revelation when it comes through, because I know about the timeline merge, because I reached Christ consciousness levels 3 years ago. So I already got to heaven on earth, if that makes sense. And I had no idea that it was to do with counterparts or the twin flame ascension. That sort of started afterwards, because I have my own revelationary experiences with God, divine creator, source, whatever you want to call it, myself. And then the counterpart came in. I had no clue when I first started the relationship with him. It was only after a few meetings that I was getting like past life experiences. But I mean, he's been in my kitchen, and I was in such bliss and joy, and I saw him transform in front of my eyes into all these different counterparts all through his life. So I was sharing that in the kitchen while he was in physicality with me. And I was getting like also revelationary messages coming through my channel. But what I truly worked out is that he sent me first across space and time because we couldn't be together for some reason. I don't know the full picture, but I have to share what comes through because it attributes to both of us, both our genealogy and karmic ancestral timelines. So I can only ascertain that because I was the stronger of the two, and I'd been through more trauma and karma clearing, I was going to be the clearer channel for that divine union to come through so that I could pass the information to him too, because he wasn't strong enough to hold the divine key codes until I reached Christ consciousness levels. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
But each one is unique, so I can't compare your journey to mine because it's all
Right.
unique and individual, so we shouldn't compare. I know
Right.
it's not, just because I'm getting that, don't mean you will. Like I've got friends that get visions and all sorts. I don't get that so much. And some people get like colours, and it's phenomenal the way that the divine is waking us all up uniquely, because we've all got those gifts to a certain extent, and everyone will get it differently. That's the way I see it, and I just love been able to share my experiences where I'm not going to be locked up again like I was crazy. That's another story of this realm, but I won't go into that tonight.
I think it really does depend upon the relationship you have with that particular person. I guess you have to know your own situation. You have to judge your own situation. Hamish, what do you say?
Yeah, you do have to judge your own situation, because different people respond differently in the physical, like in the field. Like training, what you do in training and what you do in the simulation is not what's going to happen in the field. So you can telling someone something to their face, like data or information or, you know, whatever, that might crack them open. Like everyone's going to be in denial if that's not what they're getting, but that might eventually kind of, if it's coming from the correct person, open them up, crack them open, start them expanding. But it also might make them build a big brick wall between you and say, nope, no, you're crazy. I'm correct. Yeah, exactly. Right. So you've got to kind of judge that a little bit. But the flip side of that is like if we're talking about counterparts, and even like not even the original pair, but like there seem to be, telepathy seems to be a bit of a universal human trait anyway, or should be. But this twin-like connection isn't just with one person. Like this ability to connect does exist with other people. So even if this person isn't your exact counterpart, but there's something in that spectrum, doesn't really matter. Like you can communicate with them, and like communicating with their highest version of themselves. Sure, I mean that already knows, right? Because all the big version of us is getting all the downloads anyway. Like they are the downloads. They're the ones downloading it. But still, you can do a lot more talking to that aspect of them and just say like, what am I meant to be doing here? Should I be spending more time with them? Should I be spending less time with them? Should I be actually verbally, physically sharing this stuff with them? Shouldn't I be? Like, and it doesn't mean you have to do what they say or suggest, but you can have conversations with them without actually having physical conversations with them. And that might help with the guidance.
Yeah.
It might not, but it couldn't hurt.
I always have conversations loud and clear. And I know they're being received. You know, it's like, I don't need to say it to the person. The person's hearing me say it out loud. I'm saying it out loud like they're standing in the room, and there is telepathy there. But that's a really good point, is, you know, that's something you have to look at, Steph, is to say, hey, you know, would he benefit from hearing some of these insights that I'm getting? And maybe he will, you know, but that's something to go into that, you know, inner space and say, is there anything more I should be sharing with him?
Right.
People talk about my metaphors and how interesting they are. And Stephanie,
I saw that.
the reason that I even talk like that, and some people think I'm talking in circles, that I'm just waffling on about nonsense, right? But the reason I talk that way, or even try to like explain myself in different ways like that, is because I felt like my whole life I was trying to explain myself and what I was getting and what I was seeing, what was actually fucking going on here, to people who would have locked me up in a crazy house. If I actually told them what was going on past about the age of 8 or 9, they would have thought about medication or something like. And so how do you find a language for saying crazy things to someone in a way that doesn't sound crazy? And it's a fine line, because if you muffle it too much, the message gets lost. But if you tell them raw, some people can take that and some people really can't. Like, it's just not going to work. So I mean, that's why I talk a little bit like that, is because I'm always trying to find a way to communicate in a way that doesn't get those brick walls thrown up. Because some people, as soon as you say alien, bang, up goes the brick wall, because they've got a trauma. You know, they were taken as a child. There was some bad experience with a cousin, with a, say, ET, or you say UFO, or bang, up go the steel walls, down come the shutters. That's it. End of conversation. So how do you talk about those energies without saying those words? It's a bit of a dance.
You
but,
do it well.
it's
You do that.
worthwhile.
You do that dance really well.
Thank you.
I love your analogies. They're great. Oh, Sarah, did you want to say something?
Just I second that, Hamish. I could have been locked up a dozen times. So thank you for that. And it is really relatable the way you express yourself. And I'm one of many who are grateful.
Thank you. Makes it all worthwhile, all my dancing around.
Well, we really enjoy it and we appreciate it too. Oh, you know what I didn't do that I'd like to do if you guys don't mind? I'd like to play that TikTok video so that people will see the significant. Did all you guys see the TikTok video by any chance? Ashley, did you see it?
So good.
Let me share screen.
I died. And unfortunately, I feel like I slipped into some alternative reality, a different timeline. And I died probably about 3-4 years ago. And if anybody else also thinks they died around that time, I'm gonna need you to touch base in what they call here the comment section. I don't know where the fuck I'm at. I do not like it. Okay. Cause see, when I was alive, you know, if you was about some shit, you was on your way. But it's not like that here. Actually here, the more ignorant you are, the more idiotic behaviors you display, that's actually acceptable. As a matter of fact, this shit makes you popular. So I don't know where the fuck I'm at. This is truly the upside down world. But I'm telling you, if you want to make something out of yourself in this reality that I'm living in, all you got to do is show some ass, beat your face, and talk like a fucking idiot and just bypass all education. Don't even put wisdom on the map. I don't even think it exists. As a matter of fact, I don't think I haven't even heard the word wisdom where I'm at. Did I go to hell? What did I do? I'm in hell. I was living a good life. I was a good person. What did I do when I was alive? Did I kill a village of people? What the fuck did I do? Speaking about that, there is motherfuckers over here that's supporting just people being straight wiped out. Like, oh my God. And people back it up. But you know what's weird? There's a different thing that happens every month here. So I don't know. There's like this fight to make things right. But it's like an illusion because everybody goes back to their comfy space or something in 30 days. Never lasts more than that. Yeah, I don't know. They're super picky about what they fight for. It's like they don't fight for humanity down here. They gotta fuck with you to fight for you. It is so fucking weird. All I know is shit went like this probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I would say 4. So when I died, I did something wrong. I'm in the wrong place. I went to hell in a handbasket. And I just don't know why, because I was a really good person. Like really good. You know what I'm saying? Like really good. I had some class about myself, educated, gave a fuck. You know what I mean? Something happened. And how did I die? How did I die? All I know is if you also find yourself on this timeline, please like reach out. And that's another thing. I'm almost scared to put this out there because the people online are like, oh my God, in this reality, everybody's a fucking expert at nothing. I mean, I think TikTok is handing out certificates of completion because people just be online like they just, you got 12-year-olds teaching classes down here. I don't know what the hell is going on. All I know is I want to find my way out. So I need to connect with some other people that feel and know that they died 4 years ago. Because this cannot be my world, my reality. And they're powerless down here. They just let everybody do any and everything to them. You know, the corporations, the government, they just keep giving their money over to them. It's so like, ugh, I feel trapped. I can't even make a good decision. Like, I don't, like, oh my goodness. You can't live in the woods down here if you wanted to. You got to pay for it. Like, oh my God, what the fuck? So I'm convinced I died. And if you died 4 years ago as well, welcome to the upside down world where shit is just all the way fucked up.
All right. And I don't think you can see this. Let me stop share. I don't think you can see this, but there were like 1,800 comments and I went into them and they were all like, yup, I died. Yup, I died. Yup, I died. So think about that. What does that say? These people are waking up and realizing something's gone terribly sideways. It's kind of interesting because my reaction of watching it now versus watching it 24 hours ago or 36 hours ago is like night and day.
Yeah.
When you're sitting there, I want to describe like, and then again, open it up for conversation around this. I just want to describe that I just started looking at my life and going, I have no life. I did die. I have no friends. We were talking about that stuff. Remember, no barbecues. Like, what happened to barbecues? What happened to, going to the movies with a friend? What happened to having a social life at all? Like, I have none. And it's like, I'm a likable person. But how did I just disconnect? I disconnected from everyone and everything. And I'm sitting here going, I don't even know what I'm doing with myself. And that's when I started realizing this happened a long time ago. I've been disconnected for a long time. How much longer? How much longer do we have to be disconnected and sitting here in this insane world that she's talking about? All right, who wants to say something? Speak, please.
I totally agree. I can totally relate to what she's said, because when they locked me up, right, Debbie, I won't bore you with the story, but I felt I was in heaven on earth. And it felt like the Truman Show, because I guess that was my divine path. But I felt God's presence or divine's presence in there. And it just felt like a game. It just felt like this can't be the real reality. And it was almost felt like it was a cosmic joke. What I mean is that I knew I was in heaven on earth. And these were all just characters in the story. And I was actually going around, right? This has just triggered a memory back then. I was pairing everyone up in there. And I told them then I was part of the twin flame ascension and I was picking up on people's feelings. And I was saying, you're connected to him. She loves you. And I was doing all this crazy magic in there. And I can understand now from their perspective in 3D reality, I must have seemed bloody crazy. Okay, it's only in hindsight you pick up this stuff. But I know I was in God's realm there, but on earth. So I was in, like, I suppose you could say I was in 3D. I was in 5D in playing out in 3D. Well, they're all in 3D, so they haven't got a clue where I am in the universe because they still believe they are their roles. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just wrote the word dimensional space. It's like you were in that dimensional space that was outside of this frequency.
Yes.
So you were showing up in that frequency.
Yes. Yes, I saw divinity in there. I saw Archangel Gabriel in one of the assistants. He was just beautiful soul. I could see him, but it was Archangel Gabriel in this assistant. I knew it was him. And I was like chasing around these people because I knew they were angels, wanting to connect with them. I just saw so much divinity in there, but I saw a lot of darkness as well. And a lot of the doctors that were masked up, they were still in their lower, I'm not going to call them demons, but they're in the lower vibrational states because they hadn't ascended or got past the ego state of beingness, if that makes sense. So that I just see it as energy, frequency, and vibration now, because I used to be that low, if that makes sense. For 50 years, I was low. Didn't know I was low because I was doing what everyone else was doing, or similar stuff, until I had my first awakening. But I can sort of see why people got confused, because I knew I was getting downloads in there. I mean, the divine gave me some of the clairs. I didn't know what all these clairs were when they came in. It's like I've got hindsight, I've got blind sight, I've got foresight, and now I've got something else, and I can't remember what it was. But all this information came to me while I was in there. Right. So I'm guessing I must have signed up for that journey to learn all this stuff. It was part of my mission, But, you know, connecting timelines, getting out in my car, just being totally led by spirit, covering, I don't know, wherever my energy went, I must have been covering ley lines on the earth around England and stuff. So even though I was walking the earth and doing these ceremonies in graveyards, which I'd never ever done in my life, but I just felt totally led to do stuff that I would never have dreamed that I would ever start, because I would have been too afraid. But I was totally fearless. I know that feeling, fearlessness, when the divine's got you. You just do it. Because I knew enough. I started to feel unconditional love 10 years ago, which led me on my divine path, spiritual and emotional maturity path. But for 50 years, I was under the veil of darkness.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So, you know, I'm 60 this year. So sort of seems relevant as well in regards to my birthday and that. I don't know the full story, but I'm not too concerned about that. But I know sort of roughly where I am in the universe most days now as I get my balance and get my feet like a toddler. It's almost like I've been grounded back to earth to bring in the light as a light work, grid work, or whatever you want to call it, because we have all these starseed names, don't we? But yeah, it's part of the mission. I know I've come back from the future. I can't prove it. And I truly believe that we're all ascended masters. I really do believe that, because otherwise we wouldn't have been strong enough to do this stuff. I think we're all ascended masters to a certain degree. And of course, there's no hierarchy. I'm not saying that from a place of superiority, but out of respect for everyone's journey. I'm nothing special, Debbie. I can assure you. I'm just an ordinary average, or was an ordinary average housewife that didn't expect this.
Right.
But I do accept it now. And it's radical acceptance of where I am each day, regardless of how others show up. And I do feel I'm in service now to the divine for mission.
Let me ask you this. How connected do you feel like to this matrix? Do you feel like you're ready? I mean, a lot of us are kind of ready to, I want to say, bust out of the upside down and
Yeah.
are you at that same space as well?
I'm similar to you, Debbie. I'm a bit more hermity, because when I engage with people, I can't relate on their level. I can, but I would have to drop my frequency, and I don't want to do that. That doesn't seem right. But it's not my job to judge them at the frequency they're at. But I can see where they're at. But I do have a lot of divine femmes coming now to me who are breaking down and must see my light and know part of my journey, because they've been witnessing me, not knowing they've been witnessing me. Going from thinking I'm crazy 2 years ago, now they're coming to me for relationship advice.
Gotcha.
Never expected that in a million years. So
Now,
I'm
how
loving
are
them as
you-
best as I can.
How are you in terms of people around you? Are you seeing people that are awakening as you
Ye-
are?
Absolutely. I'm sort of being led to strangers now. I just get the prompts to go to strangers. And I met one guy randomly in a garden centre, and we just struck up a conversation immediately. And I was sort of drawn to him. And it's just weird how it's always divine timing, because there's no one else around. And I've always been frightened of guys because of my past experiences. And I don't normally speak to random men, but he sparked the conversation, and it was weird. Like 10 minutes into the conversation, this deep conversation we're having about the agenda and all sorts came out. He said to me, "Do you know what? We could be brother and sister." And I said, "That's really strange you should say that. We may be." And I said, that's a deeper thing I won't go into now. And he said, "Well, purely from a Plutonic experience," he said, "I'm on my second marriage. I'm no interested in that." I said, "Absolutely." And I had my hands up and I said, "Look, I'm not looking for a relationship either." He said, "I'd really like to hear more from you. Can we meet up for a coffee after Christmas?" So from a purely Plutonic experience, I'm going to meet up with him to see what comes to light, if that makes sense. I mean, we could be connected in another realm, but it's like I don't see things as coincidences now. I see it's all synchronistic. And if I get the pull to do it and I feel safe enough, which I do, I felt completely comfortable in his energy. And he just shook my hand before we
Right.
left. And he said, please contact me. So I will do, and we'll see what happens, see what comes out, because it could be some information he has for me too. So I take everything as a lesson and a blessing now, if that
Right.
makes sense.
So in terms of, so you're finding people that you're connecting with
Yeah.
on that are, but how are you? And I do want to also, you know, I definitely want to find out what some other people are thinking in terms of how they're connecting. Like, how unplugged are you guys from the matrix? It sounds to me that, Heather, you're feeling quite unplugged from the matrix,
Yes.
but you're
Yes.
still able to be in service. What about, say, Ashley, are you able to contribute, or Stephanie? I mean, either one of you guys. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
I can say this. For the video you showed up on the TikTok one, 4 years ago was when I had my retreat down in South America with ayahuasca. And of course, we won't go into that, but I did have a death experience. And I mean, even just being immersed in that culture and being disconnected from technology and being immersed in nature without the ayahuasca experience, I mean, coming from that back into the United States and coming to my mom's house, I was living at my mom's house at the time. And because my husband and my ex and I were talking about separation then, and coming back to her house, I mean, she's got Alexa and smart technology and all this stuff, and coming from the jungle into that was like, and I mean, that was like 4 or 5 months of like just this massive shedding of ego and parts. And so I mean, ever since then, I've kind of been in a pretty introverted hermit, like disconnected. I was still working as a nurse throughout the beginning of the pandemic. I left my nursing job at the end of 2021 with the mandates. I did as much as I could to disconnect from things while still in that. But ever since meeting or not since meeting, because my supposed counterpart and I work together, but since our connection in September, he's in the beginning of his path with healing and spirituality and all this stuff. He's like coming into it more and more, but he is still very much plugged into the matrix. And I kind of have to be, because I have a daughter who's in the public school system and just lots of things with work and money. I'm still very much plugged in that way. But ever since my supposed counterpart and I have had our connection, being with him, I'm like trying to merge these two worlds of like, okay, how can I bring this knowledge and what I know and what I've learned over the last 4 years, and like actually bringing myself down more to the, like bringing the knowledge and the wisdom that I have and bringing it more into the matrix. And like the last like 3-4 months, I feel like I've been like merging these two energies and trying it out and like kind of finding balance. Like I feel like the pendulum swung from one way to the other, and then with him it's brought about this balance. And so now that him and I are more distanced, I'm kind of coming back into my hermit mode and seeing what work I need to do. So it's been this really interesting blend for me of being in and out of the matrix and being plugged into what's going on. And you know,
well, and I would assume when you have children that are, you know, school age, and I mean, I know, Hamish, you have children that are amazing musicians and all creative beings. It does kind of give you a little bit of a different perspective than when you're essentially single, grown children or no children. It you know, I was very curious to find out how different people are handling unplugging from the matrix. And what that leads me to, you know, Kimberly did a huge automatic writing thing about what's happening and what's coming. And I was shocked. It was very, very confirming of a lot of things. But we kind of started getting into it, like how does this happen? And part of what we were saying is that some of us are going to, like, we see that some will immediately go with their loved ones into a higher state, and they'll just be in that higher state. Like, I'm thinking, Hamish, your family is like, oh, the whole entire family is like up there in vibration. You're all probably going to just cross that rainbow bridge and you're there, right? And then you've got other people like me that I'm like, well, I'm assuming my kids are going to go on over, one of these days. I don't see them every day anyways. Maybe they'll show up a week later or whatever. But then, but there's a different amount of unplugging, I think, that people do to the matrix based on what your circumstances are. And what I'm hearing with you, Ashley, is that you are still toe in the pond, but how do you feel about leaving the matrix? Just curious. Like if you were to leave and go to the higher
Oh,
dimension.
I'm ready.
Okay, that's all I
I'm
need to know.
ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel, but I feel like right now, I feel like there's a reason that I'm being kind of brought and kept in the matrix in certain ways, because not that I feel like I'm taking on, like it's my job to wake people up, but I noticed that even like with me standing in my power with leaving my 10-year nursing career behind, I saw retrospectively the chain reaction effect that it had on people. People would come up to me like, oh my gosh, I've never seen somebody like stand so strongly in their conviction and just like walk away from a career and money like that, and like completely, shift their life around. I left my marriage. I left Colorado, which is a state I really wanted to be in, and made all these massive changes within a relatively short period. And I feel like I have a role still in the matrix, like I mean, I guess we all do, but like, if I'm accepting of being here and whatever role I'm playing and helping people wake up and playing that role that I'm, to plant seeds or whatever to help people exit the matrix as well. So I'm accepting of that.
Right. Great. Thank you for sharing. Stephanie? Stephanie always gets to speak last. I'm like, Stephanie, please show us.
You guys put me on the spot. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll share now.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I feel like for a while, I really just thought it was like part of my bloodline healing and all of that stuff to really be so disconnected from everyone and everything. But now I'm starting to hear that you guys feel the same way. So now I'm feeling a little bit better that I'm not the only one anymore, but it just has felt for me, I don't know if I resonate with it happening in 2019, but probably not too far after that, is when I left my full-time job and a relationship I was in ended. So on a day-to-day basis, other than like voice messaging some of you guys, I don't interact with anybody, my dogs. So I feel like I'm super removed from the matrix. And if I have to, like, if I really have to try, like, I can't even be successful in some of the matrix things without really trying to like lower my vibration, like Heather said, like things that are just really out of alignment for me. So it's been frustrating, but I feel like I've been so alone and feeling this way for so long that I got used to it. But I do have a lot of friends that have kids in school and are just ready to be done with this, but don't know how does that transition ever happen, or what does it look like, or so I understand, like, definitely that straddling the two different places as well. But
that's what I was getting into it with Kimberly about, is I had said, we get into things all the time. We go back and forth. And I was saying that I think a lot more people are fed up with the matrix and ready to leave than most people would give them credit for. We tend to think of, speaking of, she just showed up, Kimberly. She must have heard us talking about her. But anyways, yeah. So I think that a lot more people, hey, I was just talking about you. So let me finish what I was saying. But we were talking about the people and where they're at in terms of getting ready to leave the matrix. And what I'm hearing is people on this call are saying that their ordinary friends that are still kind of in the matrix are all like done with the game too. So I think that there is a certain level of preparedness, if you will. I think that not everyone has to go through this ascension process, this awakening process, and process all their stuff for them to be ready to end this game. And that's what I've been picking up on, in that it will be individual choices as to whether you're ready to go or not. So that's kind of what we were talking about, Kimberly. Let me just see if Stephanie, you disappeared. Did you have anything else you wanted to say? Or well, she's
No, I'm here. Sorry, I just had to let my dog out.
oh,
No, I
okay.
don't really have
Everybody's
anything else
got
to add.
dogs.
Sorry.
Maybe that's the answer, you guys. I need a dog, and then I'll be a little bit more attached. I have 2 cats, but they're so independent. It's like they don't need me. So, um, I guess before I'm trying to think, Sarah, did you have anything you wanted to add to being unplugged from the matrix? Because I'm going to ask Kimberly next, but you've been waiting so patiently. Like, did you have anything cool to say or just interesting about like you? I know your situation. You've been like in your own space for quite a while.
Probably most of my life. I haven't really been in the matrix. And it's funny, I had a big laugh the other day. I got my hydro bill and I went, oh yeah, this is the part of the matrix I have to still deal with, you know, and going grocery shopping and the day-to-day things that we still, you know, do in this reality that we're presently existing in. But I have felt the majority of my life not really living in this reality most of the time, communing or in nature or with dogs or with good people that of like mind. But I'm so aware that the matrix is right there, and I'm so also aware that I'm making a very conscious choice not to get tangled in the spaghetti arms of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But there are occasions, because I think in the last 5 days, since last Thursday, well, it happened Thursday and then a little bit on Sunday, it was a bit of a feeling of like, oh, I'm going through this again to die off again. But it felt very collective and it felt very personal. Um, how do I share with it? Like like I'm so black or white sometimes. I wish I was just a little bit more softer in the gray zone, but I am very black and white for myself. And with other people, I'm so flexible and so in the gray zone. But I was like feeling feelings of shit that's already been done and taken care of. And it came back to visit. And okay. And I was talking to, okay, this has to keep dying off. It's part of the collective. It's part of me. I'm going to keep doing my work. But I went so far to one side of the pendulum where it was like, okay, I'm done with the twin flame fucking thing. I'm sorry, I'm swearing. I'm done with it. I'm done. I'm done. And then I hear Hamish and then I hear Alicia and our sessions, and it's all in the bank, right? And it's all in your little backpack on your shoulders. And so I fight with myself there. And then it's like, what happened to, and I think you and I talked about this, Debbie, you know, so what happened to the barbecues and going to the movies, right? But for me, it was like, what happened to that real genuine community camaraderie gatherings of where you didn't even look over your shoulder. You were so comfortable with everybody you're getting together with, and it all. I mean, there was still in all those days. There was a small part of myself that was way deeper and wanted to go way deeper.
Yeah.
So there was a certain level of superficial, you know, super on the surface, you know, like skipping the rocks on the surface to go through some function. So, you know, we all did our things that we did in those days to roll with it, you know, have a glass of wine, whatever, do whatever you do to just roll and fit in and not feel such like a bit of an oddball. So what happened for me last Thursday and then again on Sunday was that right there was like completely compressed of grieving and longing for those old days and being quite pissed off that we're not there. And then you and I talked about 2019. You felt like you died. I know I did. My twin flame exited in 2019, and I actually died in 2012, feeling where my life was never going to be the same, and I almost went cuckoo getting to that point. And then, as Ashley touched on, I think a bit, just that there was just so much support, non-physical support, through various things I had done too with people, and felt so loved and cared for, but nothing that you could wrap your arms around
Right.
and hold on to. And I think each and every one of us, or I'll speak for myself, I long for that in humanity again,
Yes.
wherever we're going to go. And I had a very incredible experience with some swans I was watching the other morning, where I was going to ask my typical 1,000 questions to my higher self, or the creator, or the divine consciousness, the higher consciousness. And I had so many questions, and I just sat down with my coffee and just went, I don't want to ask any questions. And then all this information came in, and it's been like dried up like a desert for months, like 2 months, I think, my connection. I just get one little sentence or something, just enough to push me forward. And so I said, okay, so is it, we're waiting for another world to pass by, and those with higher frequency move on to that, and certain people will join us late. Like all of a sudden they came in and started answering some of those questions. And that the rainbow bridge is there between those two planets, but it's not in color yet. It's not in full color yet, is what they said. So, but in my world, I'll see it in color. I'll see the color of the bridge. So it's a constant discerning, individual experience, collective experience, those that we care and love about, those that maybe you're on the outs with, the matrix, where we're going, where we want to be. We're done with this. We're tired. It's like juggling 18 million balls in the air. And just to sum it up, I kind of dropped all the balls on Thursday, and I kicked a few balls, away. And I got back to the utter place of surrender. I don't want to fall back onto too much spiritual lingo, but really I did hand everything kind of over.
Right.
And I didn't give it, I don't want to give my power away, but I handed it over to my higher self. And
Perfect.
but the matrix is very interesting right now, and it is, as Lisa says, it's a push and the pull, but it's been really pulling. It's been really pulling. It's been sticky, like melting gum to your shoe, for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't even know the word matrix, so it's really quite amusing. But thank you for allowing me to share.
Well, I think that what you said, the biggest thing that I really didn't explain in the very beginning of my opening was just how much grief I felt like I was processing, because in having unplugged from the matrix as much as I have, I'm grieving for the connection. I'm grieving for that time spent. I watched while you were sleeping the other night, my favorite my favorite Christmas movie, and I sat and I cried. I'm like, no, I'm never gonna have that. It was that feeling of grieving, because I have let go of all of it. And Kimberly will talk to you just in 1 second, but I was talking to Kimberly and I was saying that that's the part that I miss. Is it's not like I'm not open to meeting people. I'm wide open. I go to the gym every night hoping that some person will just say, hey, how's it going? And blah, blah, blah. I have 2 or 3 people that feel comfortable talking to me, and everybody else is like in their space. And so it's not that I'm not open for it. It's not there for me. That's why I feel like I died. And Kimberly, well, first I'll say before I open this up for Kimberly to tell us your feelings about how you're handling the disconnect, because I know you have a slightly different take. But I wanted to say, I told these guys earlier before we started the call that you've got some automatic writing, and that you brought through, that we're going to do a video on tomorrow that talks about the bridge. It talks about somewhat and timing and all of that. So before we lose you, because I know you're not, on for maybe even for the duration, maybe you are, I do want to also go over just that one piece about what you got on timing, because I think people would like to hear that. Would you like to tell us your perspective on what's happened to you in terms of disconnecting from the matrix?
Yeah, well, my situation, I didn't, of course, I haven't heard everybody else sharing, but at least from Debbie's perspective, and I think I can relate to that because I was very much in that kind of a place from the beginning of my awakening in 2014 until 2 years ago. I would make little forays into, connecting and meeting up with people in the world. But for the most part, I was just living by myself in my little bubble, hiking on my mountain, doing my spiritual work and going through massive shifts and changes in growing and information gathering and all of this. And so, but I was always very, very alone, and also very felt very, if I would be trying to connect with, normal people, feeling like, the deep conversations that I'd really want to have, you couldn't have. And I am a very deep person. I like having deep conversations. And so with exceptions, like the people that I connected with on a deeper level was, my friend Lisa, and then Debbie, when she and I connected in 2019. So, I'd have my long conversations and the diving deep with them. And other than that, it was very, very, very alone. And in 2 years ago, I sold my house in the town I've lived for 25 years in and moved up to a little town of like 600 people in the mountains, and really determined that I wanted to try to, live a life that had more, like not necessarily that I was like, oh, I want to, hang out with people more, but just I wanted to do more things, and like, well, this is a good place in the mountains to go hiking and skiing and, whatever. And then I started going 2 or 3 nights a week to the little local brewery in town. And from there, started meeting people. And then, over the course of the last year, actually started slowly, well, first of all, just becoming friends with a guy that finally this summer, toward the end of the summer, started actually saying, okay, we're dating, although it's still kind of dating light in a sense. It's like dating my best friends. Like there's not,
Great.
I won't go into that, but it's a little different than like, certainly not like, doesn't feel like the love of my life kind of dating at all, but it's very, it's nice, and also very clear that there's work that, that it's giving me an opportunity to work on some very specific things for my own journey that I needed to work on, that you really can't do unless you're interacting with someone. So that's really brought a lot of, so the flip side of what you guys are experiencing, but it was kind of like, this is the first time I've had that, because my whole entire life, I mean, I was homeschooled and we traveled all the time when I was a kid. My dad was a pastor and then a traveling evangelist. So I never had community, never had connection, never had, consistent friends in any way, shape, or form. So that's been really nice. However, I did kind of a trade-off I traded off an aspect of, in order to have what it developed into like a little friend community. There's some other people in the community that I hang out with, and then we have campfires and we go on, camping and go to concerts and whatever. We're doing things. So that's nice. But the flip side of it, the place that is continuing to keep me very much still ready to leave, so I might be looking like I'm doing a little bit more, earthly, connecting to earth, the earth here through the activities I'm doing. But instead, I'm in an old house, 100 years old, that I'm trying to remodel and doing building projects. And I've lived now for 2 years in a completely unfinished, unsettled state. Very, very trying. So that it feels, and it also feels like I'm not making progress, you guys. Like I am, but it still hasn't yielded a change in my circumstance. So the same exact experience that Debbie's having, where she's in a little sanctuary of a little apartment there and has that all sorted out, but then she has this other part of her that's just making her feel like I don't have the community and the family, that I want. And I'm the flip side of that. I have the community and the connection with a very dear person in the form of my, I say boyfriend in quotes, because anyway, but I don't have the feeling of being settled. And I'm just as anxious to be out of here as anybody. So I just thought it was an interesting, like, I just traded.
Yeah,
If
well,
that
and
makes sense.
the thing that you didn't mention, which Stephanie would, kind of relate to, is that she had in her old home where she used to live in Coeur d'Alene, she had an Airbnb. And so she had properties and she was, that was what she was doing. She moved to the new space to create some of that, and that hasn't happened yet. So not only she's under project management stuff and the universe, listen guys, the universe is kind of breaking down, and so you're behind schedule on production because things aren't happening.
Oh yeah,
We
way
have
behind.
that in
Yeah.
our business. It drives us
Mhm.
crazy. The pandemic like blew our whole business up because of shipping issues and blah blah blah. So we've got the matrix falling around us and trying
Yeah.
to get onto these projects. So in one hand you're finding yourself in maybe a little bit more connection to the people aspect, which I'm very envious of. I love, and hey, I spend time with them when I can. but the side that's stressful for me and where the matrix hit me was, of course, the paycheck this month was like, what? I can't go any more down. And then you start realizing how you're really still connected. And are you going to pay to play? Are you going to run those Google ads? You're going to do these things that you didn't really want to do because you got to keep things going in the matrix. And how do you balance that? It's like walking a tightrope.
And the one thing, and I was telling Debbie this earlier today, the one thing I refuse to do, because I was raised in a very high demand religion, and I came out of that. And so the flavor of anything that's like super focused on, if I don't do this, 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 and this, then the event won't happen, because that was how I grew up as a Seventh-day Adventist. If I don't do this, this, and this, then I won't be ready when Jesus comes, kind of thing. And so I'm resisting going down that when that ever comes up. And so but it doesn't mean that I'm saying that there is not work that we need to do, right? Like, we do have to disconnect from, because I see very clearly that the matrix itself is what created the matrix is our energy. So our energy being siphoned, and we were tricked into it or whatever, but now we're stuck. And this is why, higher beings that created this realm, that which is ourselves really, that live in, that are existing outside of this realm, we can't come in here and rescue ourselves from this, because it's our own energy created the matrix. So you can't just get rid of the matrix, then it would literally kill everybody who's here, like permanently delete everyone. So it had to be this process, which is agonizing at times, of getting, but you're still in it. So you have to be in the world and not of the world. It's where Jesus talked about that. And so we're learning how and where we can pull back our energies from this matrix, in which ways we can. And yet we're still, our actual existence still in many ways feels, dependent on it. Unless, we want to just go out and live in the woods, which, not everybody can do that.
Costs money. It
Yeah.
costs money. The TikTok video we just watched, she says, well, you could go live in the woods, but you can't do that either because it costs you money. It's not. Anyway,
Well,
sorry.
there are people who have figured out how to do it, but it's, extremely primitive, and most of us just, and I don't think that's what's required. It's not like we
Yeah.
have to do that in order to get our energy out of the matrix. And so maybe it looks more like in our lives in some way, as we have done everything we can to pull our energy out of the matrix, that we still have to, whether we choose to order it from Amazon, or whether you get the seeds from your grandmother's garden and go plant them yourselves, there's still going to be some physical interaction with this world that we have to do in order to keep alive. And so we're choosing different, ways of doing that, but we're minimizing it in other ways as well, and then that manifests itself in the feeling of like, oh my gosh, can this just end already?
Yeah.
So for whatever reasons, for me, it's not because I'm, missing the interaction and have no community. It's because I'm, feeling like I have this, it's like a nightmare kind of a you know how like when you have a nightmare and you can't move, you feel like you're, molasses in January and you're trying to run and you get nowhere. It takes you like 30 hours to get ready to go to some place. In a dream, I've had dreams like that where no matter what I do, I just can't get it together and get to the place I'm supposed to be. And so that's what it feels like with this project that I'm doing.
It's
And that's
interesting.
helping me stay detached from the matrix, just making me be like, I don't want it. Like I've got some good things going on with activities and friends, but I'm still so ready to leave.
It sure explains a lot of times, I think, why things don't work out the way we would have wanted them to. Because if those things worked out like miraculously, like they do in the movies or fairy tale or Hollywood endings, why would we want to leave? Right? We're out of here because this isn't
Exactly.
working.
And
It's not working.
this is a matrix. This is an upside down world. And I actually I don't think this upside down world in and of itself turns right side up. Like we just all eventually leave it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's
And
exactly
so
what
I got a glimpse, every now and then I get a glimpse, like energetically, I get a glimpse of a right side up. But I was telling Debbie, it was like when I had that a week or so ago, it was like
It was like,
I saw it, like it's there, but I know it's not here, right? But it's there, and then now the clouds are covering it again, and it's like,
yeah, Sarah, what were you going to say?
I was, thank you so much, Kimberly, for that. And I'm dying to hear from Hamish too. He's like ready to speak. I can feel it. But when my mom passed, because Hamish and I have had this conversation, what if our divine counterpart dies or something, right? There's still a connection. Well, I have a very extremely beautiful connection with both of my parents that are passed away now. And my mom came to me, and I don't know if it's similar to what Kimberly was doing, but I channel journal. So I'd write my feelings and then I let my pen just go and I write whatever it is. Even if I can't spell it, I fake spell it. And my mom came to me and she said, it's really beautiful where I am, but it's really beautiful where you are because you get to experience so many things and love most importantly and how to love. And I wrote it down and I have it framed in my bedroom. But when I was out in the morning with the swans, that was what I asked. I was like, so how do we get to how do we how do we go over the Rainbow Bridge to go there? Like, show me what I need to be doing to contribute to the collective to go over. And the voice said to me, actually, you're here. It's when you pass over that you'll go there. And because of your higher frequency. And when you're there, and then I said, is Debbie gonna go? Is Hamish going? Is Alicia going? Is Lisa going? Like, is my dog going? I just started listing off people. And it was all yes, yes, yes. But basically, the sense I felt very, very profoundly that morning was, I'm here. I'm here for the duration. But where I'm going next is going to be just incredibly divine and beautiful. And I get to go to that experience. And then I started to be curious and ask questions to what I'm going to look forward to or expect when I get there. But I won't go into that. But my point being is that, first of all, my shoulders dropped in the fact that we're not getting out of here that quickly. I don't think.
I would
But
disagree, but that's
but
just,
what this just
yeah.
that was my little individual little experience. It's not to say that this is God's word, right? It's just what came through for me. Maybe it was explained to me in a way I could understand it. And maybe the hidden agenda around it was, you're here right now, enjoy right now.
Yeah.
And that's what dribbled into me later as the day progressed, because I was kind of like hands on the hip again. What? We're not going to be going up, but basically it was like, keep up the good work, everyone. Like, we are the ones creating the new. And as brutal as it's been, I'm not going to give up, but there are days for sure. And But that's the sense that I got, was this is your limit of what knowledge you can have today.
Gotcha.
So you just got to be in the now and be now. Because I was in that phase, Debbie, where I was dying again. All that grief was back again, right? So I really do think they lift us up with just exactly what we need.
Yeah,
And
that's
Yeah.
probably it too. And I didn't mean to jump all over you, but yeah, that's not what I want to hear today. And that's just, but you got to understand, I came off of this week of realizing I'm completely disconnected. Now, is it possible that there will be reconnections in a new space that's here and then I'll reconnect? That's fine. But for me, it's like if there's not some place, there's just like no connection. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I kind of jumped on it. And not only that, Kimberly did a bunch of automatic writing that went like was completely a little bit of a different flavor. And listen, everybody is going to see this from their own perspective. They're going to hear it from their own perspective. They're going to experience it from their own perspective. I think that's why there's different things happening. I mean, they're talking about a 2-world split, right? They're talking about different experiences for different people, and we don't know what those experiences. And this is why we have this group, because we can uncover these things and we can compare notes and we can say, I resonate, I don't resonate, or I yes, that feels right, that doesn't, that's what we're here for, is to and thank you for sharing. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen, but oh please God, don't make me stay here much longer. Maybe I'm just going soon. That could be a possibility too. I've said it. I'm like, okay, kind of ready. You guys will be like having this meeting without me, and don't worry about it because I'm fine. Yeah, we are starting to run towards the end of the hour and a half. Of course, I want to hear from you, Hamish. I mean, come on. I didn't mean to overlook you this whole time. I
You
didn't overlook
didn't
you.
overlook me at all. It's great to hear from everyone else. I'm still internally giggling at the TikTok video. I love it. Her reaction. The thing that flashes through my mind the whole time is the meme from Die Hard with Bruce Willis leaning out the window saying, "Welcome to the party, pal."
Yeah,
Like,
you sent that to me. That was so funny.
because I was I mean, the world that she's in, I was born in, right? I was never in the barbecue world. I could see that everyone else around me was in the barbecue and friends world. I was never in that world. Never, like just never. So I couldn't even visit it. Like you can't even, if you're not in that world, you can't visit. Like you're saying, like you're now you're not in that world. Whenever it happened, like 2019 to 2020, 2016, 2014, whenever, you can be in the company of those people. You could go to a barbecue and stand around, but you're just going like, oh, this is not working for me. Like you can pretend. I did a fair bit of pretending here and there, getting through life, especially as a child and a young adult. But I was just never. I had the promise of that world, from movies, from TV, from books, from talking to other people. That world was promised to me, and I thought maybe that comes when you're an adult. Maybe that's something that's coming later on. Maybe I just need to try harder. Never. It's just more and more people are coming to my world and
Yeah.
realizing. And it's like I'm reminded of the I don't know. There's heaps of stories about it, but like the Pinocchio story of everyone, the little boys being fed sweets and treats and given everything they want. They go to the island of pleasure or whatever it's called in there, and they're just hanging out and life's good and they can do anything. And then they get turned into donkeys and then they're used as slave labor as donkeys, or however that story goes. It's like you don't see the world you're in. Because like this girl on TikTok, like she's, and I'm sure she hasn't just found out, but she's like been percolating going, what is going on here? This is not the world I grew up in. Like, and she's obviously gone to uni. She's given herself a good education. She's gone to college. She's had a job, and now she's turned around and gone, what? Like, she was always in my world. Like, like we were in the same world, but she just didn't see it for what it was. And now she's seeing it for what it is. And that's almost more depressing when you do that. It's like, it's not like, oh, I died and I've gone to another world. It's like, no, baby, you were here the whole time. You just didn't see it. I mean, that's the shock to the system when you get hit with that.
Do you think that the system, like we just all of a sudden the veil came off and she saw it?
Veil's been getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And I think that's been, I didn't see any movement before 2012. So whatever happened in 2012, and you know, Lisa's got a whole thing on that, Lisa's group, and different groups have got different things, and a lot of people think nothing happened in 2012, but I didn't see any movement whatsoever before 2012, not a scrap. And then after 2012, suddenly, I mean, people were moving, sure, like people were waking up to stuff. People were always realizing like they were finding holes in the veil, but there was no movement in the veil. Whatever that screen or mask was, blinding the people in here from the world that they were actually in, that like the actual energy that they were communing with, there was no change in that. And after 2012, it started to change. And it's like one of those exponential graphs that goes, the further it goes, the steeper it gets. That's what it seems like to me. The longer whatever time is in here, the longer we go, the thinner that veil becomes, the more people actually see what the energy of the food is that they're putting in their mouth when they go to McDonald's, right? Like some people realized what that food was before 2012, and some, like, it's not that the truth wasn't there. The truth was always there. But from that point, it's like it's coming now, whether you want it or not. You don't have to go looking for it. Like, it's coming for you. The veil will get removed, or well, it is getting dissolved, I suppose. And so you will get to see exactly what you're engaged with. And it feels to me like a dream with screen memories. Like you're in a dream and you're kissing someone very passionately who looks like your partner or the love of your life or whoever it is, right? And it's very passionate what's going on. Doesn't quite feel correct, but it looks good. And you know, we go by what things look like. And then the feeling, you know, you're like, oh, I don't know, dreams are weird though. Dreams are weird. And so everything feels weird in a dream. And then something happens and you see what it is that you're actually kissing passionately. And it's not your partner, and it's not human. it's not a lot of things, right? That's what we're involved in here. Like there's a lot of this place that presents itself like a screen memory to people, because it's a simulation. There's a copy going on. Like simulation doesn't mean fake, like it's real, but it's a copy. Right. It's a pretty bad copy. But it's this glamour of this copy. And so you engage with this stuff going, I remember this, like this is what it was like on Lyra. Oh, this was what it was like in Lemuria. This is what, like, we have these feelings. And when we get into this starseed business, we get very flowery about the words of it, right? We've found past lives and we know these stories, and when I was in Atlantis, it felt exactly like that. You are not connecting with anything that feels like whatever Atlantis was. That thing you're doing now, that's not it. You're not seeing the energy for what it is. You're connecting with the glamour over the top of it. And then suddenly that gets pulled away and you're just going, I can't believe that I was doing that. And I had no idea that, because the energy behind it is masked, and it's very cleverly masked. And so people, the question of how do we help people to disengage from the matrix, if that's what they'd like to do, or the overlay or whatever, because we're not going to force anyone to do what they don't want to do. Who cares? Do what you like. How do you show people what they're actually engaging with? How do you let that person know that their best friend or their counterpart is this toxic narcissist that badmouths them behind their back and whatever is lying to them and is stealing from them, but they just can't see it. They just can't see what's going on. That's what's happening now. It's just dissolving, and people are starting to get a feel for what the energies actually are, and that'll unplug them as sure as anything. I'm like everyone here. This is taking way too long for me, but Kimberly was spot on. If you're plugged into a system and you truly believe that you are the system and the system is you, then if someone switches that off, whatever part of you is connected to it will die. It will disappear. You'll lose that. It will just go back to whatever, like it'll blink out of existence. So that detaching is a very real thing of like getting what's true out and getting yourself kind of coherent and cohesive and together, so that if it did all, and this is the Eastern stuff, like Buddhism and Taoism's got it, and Zen, like they've got a pretty bad name, like a pretty fluffy name, because a lot of the Western stuff is not real. It's not really what they were teaching. It's very misrepresented. But that idea of you can configure yourself in a way where you're really good. Like if you had to walk away in 2 minutes, you're good with that. And that's a really, because like I'm sitting here in a house with a wife and 3 children. And if I can't be good with walking away in 2 minutes time and no one comes with me, then I'm not good. I'm still attached. And that's a really full-on place to put yourself. But what I know about that is if you can't get yourself to that point, then you'll be stuck in the merry-go-round where life, whatever the hell that thing is, like this system, this mirror realm of inversions, that's then your Achilles heel. That's your weakness, and it's going to take them from you, because that's your chink in your armor. That's your weak spot. Like you can't just say, yeah, I'd be all right. If everyone died tomorrow, I'd be okay. Like you actually have to be okay with that. You're not asking for anyone to die. You're not asking to be taken away from anyone else. You're not wanting it to happen. You're just saying, how would I actually be all right? Yeah, I would. That would be okay. Like, yeah, you'd be sad. Yeah, there'd be all that stuff, but you'd be okay. You'd be able to handle that. And that's actually unplugging from things. Going, it wouldn't, if the power turned off tomorrow, I'd be all right. If the money turned off tomorrow, I'd be all right. If whatever, like you just keep running that along and going, so if my connection to my divine counterpart disappeared, I'd be all right. If the connection to my divine counterpart turned up and got louder by 1000%, but I couldn't ever be physically with them, would you be all right? Like it's all that sort of stuff of going, how much are you attached to outcomes? And just detaching yourself from those outcomes. And that's the message that Sarah got. It's like, you're here for the duration. Yeah, but you might die next week and there's your duration. You're done. Like, and then you're out and you're to the amazing place. So being here for the duration just means stop asking silly questions and get on with what you're meant to be doing.
Good point. That's a great
I'm not
way
saying
to-
it was I'm not saying it was a silly question necessarily, but I've had that message quite a few different ways of like, just keep yourself busy in whatever way you need to. All you're doing is keeping yourself busy. You're just meant to be here, and you can choose to do that however you want. You'd be a billionaire or you can live on the street. Like it doesn't matter really, but you're here doing the thing until you're not here doing the thing. And we'll let you know when the next thing is, and then we'll get you on that. And so it's like the hurry up and wait. We've all got this. Can we finally get there? When do we get to unplug? When do we get to be where we want to be? But yeah, the flip side of that is we probably jumped in here for a reason, and the reason was to rescue the parts of ourselves that are still stuck in here.
Right.
And so that's what we're doing, and it can be frustrating at times, but it is getting better in that things are dissolving, very visibly dissolving in front of us. And yeah, a lot of people are freaking out and it's frustrating but there's probably no other way that it's going to happen than like that. People will not, because like these people that we're waiting to detach, they could be aspects of us. So it's like, what are we waiting around for? We're waiting around for all these different little aspects of us to detach, but they haven't yet because they're still hooked in. Like, so in a way, it's getting things so bad, getting things, and it's not that it's bad, it's just that you can actually see what it is now. Like everyone actually seeing what they're engaging with when they jump on Instagram and they do the thing, or they eat that food when they go to that restaurant, or they like seeing the interplay of energies for what it really is. That's where everyone's getting to. And it's going to make things pretty interesting because there's a lot of energy exchange going on that's very unconscious. And we can see that all around us. So it's, you know, we are in a way, yeah, we are dead and we're in purgatory. And because we know that outside of here is much more real than in this construct. Like
Right.
we kind of, in a way, we threw ourselves into purgatory coming back in here to do whatever we're doing.
The word
Hamish-
purgatory, can I just finish? Like the purgatory word is the thing that keeps coming to me. And that seems to be like this holding space we find ourselves into. And I guess maybe what I realized over this period of time is I've got to find ways to be in purgatory, almost like Heather said when she was in her lockdown situation, where she had to be in that space and to find the divine energy within the space, the dimensional space I'm in, whatever that takes, without reattaching to this world.
One, without
So-
connecting, without
Right.
reconnecting. So it's about being in, can you walk through hell and get out the other side without inviting a heap of demons over for dinner and having them jump in your backpack? And like, because if you're here and you're in purgatory and you're kind of waiting and you can connect to yourself and you can find that divine spark and that stuff. But can you do that without getting suckered back into, now I'm feeding this damn thing again?
Pay
And
for
it's,
play. Yeah.
yeah, and there's so much of that around us that it's finding that way of being here to do what we're doing without, because I mean a lot of us have been told in this lifetime, like it'd be so much easier to be up on a mountain in a cave, just be so much easier. In a monastery somewhere, you know, way easier. But we were told that's not this lifetime. You don't get to do that this lifetime.
Right.
Like this lifetime is in the world, in around the people, in around the animals, in like you've got to be in the soup and you've got to do it from there. That's how it gets done. And so it's that bit that you said of being able to be, and not trauma is not the word, but the suffering, right? That's that other Eastern thing about suffering. Suffering is a choice. Like pain isn't a choice. Pain is you get hurt emotionally or physically, and it's a message. Like it's just a message. Like it hurts, right? We don't like it, but it's just a hot message, a cold message, a pressure message. Like pain is just a message coming to you. But some people love pain for
Yeah.
whatever thing, you know, they go looking for ways to hurt themselves.
To
They're
heal
not
something. Yeah.
yeah, that's not suffering. Like, and so pain suffering's this weird thing. It's a total choice. It is a total choice. You could go through the most horrendous thing ever and not suffer. It's still horrendous and painful and horrific. But the suffering bit, yeah, that's a total choice. Yeah, exactly, Ashley. The more you resist, the more it persists. So, and suffering is resisting. Like you're really like pushing it away and going, no, and it's terrible and I can't. You're like, all right, so what about if we didn't do that? Like, I don't like the situation, but what if I wasn't suffering in the situation? What if they locked me up in the mental hospital and I just went, now these 200 people are locked in here with me. I've got a captive audience. Fantastic.
Right.
Now I can start matchmaking people. Now I can start Yeah, it is full surrender to what is, to the situation you find yourself in, because when you fully surrender to what is, you fully surrender to yourself and your own power. And then suddenly you find out how much talk you actually have over a situation. And you've got a lot. Like, we've got a lot of influence over the situations in here, but we don't fully surrender to ourselves around them.
I think for
And
me, I really have to figure out, just in full disclosure, I have to figure out how to not re-engage with the system, because that is part and parcel to what I'm finding. I keep going through this death throes of, oh my God, I got nothing here. But it's like, because when I try to reconnect, I reconnect because I think I need to. Like, oh, if I don't, this is going to happen. If I don't go pay to play Google ads or whatever, I'm not going to get card sales. So how do you do both? And the truth is that it's when I try to play the game that I find myself in that space where, okay, so you want to play the game, but you're going to sit there and feel like you're not connected anyway, because the things that are connecting you are the relationships or your connection with nature or having a dog that just loves you all, solar. Yeah, I love your dog, Sarah. Go ahead. You want to say
Yeah.
something, sweetie?
Yeah, this Hamish, you just bound, you like kneaded all the dough together. So what, like, I just sold the table and I delivered it. And it was a really nice lady, and she's from a beautiful place. And she said, we just opened up like how we meet people just that we're drawn to 'em. Like Heather was sharing, the fellow, right? They're gonna have coffee after Christmas. Well, we're gonna connect and have a coffee too, because she said, I had 2 vaccines and I woke up and having no more. And I have lost my, and I said, communing with like source, spirit, whatever you call it. She goes, exactly. And I feel disengaged with my body. And she's got yoga mats, and you can tell she's a wholesome, earthy soul. So I was giving her the remedies that I was put on, zeolite and all the stuff that I did to find it and to eliminate it. And so then when I'm on the porch, oh, Hamish, she just pulled it together. That information came in, which was quite thought provoking, right? But I have not had the same ability to commune for a very long time. For not very long. It feels like long when it's 2 weeks, right? And when I have a session with Hamish, I can quickly access my higher self like that. When I'm by myself, not at all. Not at all. Sometimes, not like I used to be able to do. So when that day drifted on, they told me about the bridge and the 2 planets, and I'm here for the duration. What information or little tidbits that were coming in, but Hamish just nicely put it together for me. I was having to drop my attachments to my divine counterpart. My ego had to drop. We all have a little narcissistic behavior in us. We all have jealousy. We all have envy. I mean, as a sun dancer, I was to go 4 years without any of those emotions. I lasted 3 days. And the old shaman said to me, welcome to being human, right?
Yeah.
So all these things, so back to the death day of Thursday for me and partially Sunday, the old is dying off for all of us. And that's that pull and that longing for those barbecues that I really didn't fit in, but they were a hell of a lot more fun than my life appears to be right now, right? So to mesh it together, I think that why I'm not getting the information I'm so seeking or feel removed from that truth source, non-physical presence that's held me and loved me for so long is so that I can pick up my fractalized pieces that need taking care of, drop the ego, drop the attachment, and be in the now, back to the simple, like keep it simple and surrender and know we are loved and we are loved. And I know that sounds all white and fluffy, but I do believe in love. I do believe it's stronger than anything. And we all have it, and we all long for it. Deeper love than we've probably had in this lifetime or other lifetimes, or if that's true, whatever. In this matrix, I just see people screaming without a sound or their lips moving to be loved, to be seen, to be heard, to be touched, to even to agree with them if they're polar opposites to you. So we're all in this hammock that's got holes in it. And as soon as you stand on it, your toes and your arms go through the holes, and we're all kind of bound in this hammock that's holes, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
Sola to say goodbye. Oh,
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Sarah. I'm telling you, yeah, I'm feeling all of that. I think that what